We've been busy filing hundreds of trademarks at My Amazon Guy, and we're getting dozens of questions which I'm going to answer in this video. I did a video on how to get your trademark in under 7 days, your full brand registry that is. If you file your trademark with me at myamazonguy.com today, we will within 1 business day get you your serial number, which you can take to brand registry in less than a week and complete the entire process to start your brand registration and get A+ content on your listings. So as you can see from the comment section here, public endorsements where we literally did it in an hour and a half for Jerry. Thank you for your so much for your assistance submitting the application for my trademark. I appreciate the quick responses to questions and the simple process to get started. Did that for Brian C. Just got my trademark brand registered with My Amazon Guy with a pending trademark with David L. So these are all recent, all in the last couple of weeks, and we can do it for you too. Now, in this video, I'm going to answer a bunch of trademark questions that we're getting because we're getting a lot of them. Top number 1 question. Do you need the IP accelerator to get a brand registered under 6 months on Amazon? The answer to that is no. You no longer need the IP accelerator. So the IP accelerator costs a lot more money. You're going through a legal team, so that means it's going to take actually longer, and they don't necessarily interact and answer your questions. So that's why we started offering the service at My Amazon Guy, because we were able to outcompete them and do it for a lower price. So we actually only charge $775. That's the entire fee. That includes the USPTO filing fee. There are no hidden fees, no fees that if your trademark has a question from the USPTO attorney, we answer it for you. So this is the only fee you need to pay to get your trademark. We put the serial number in your hands within 1 business day. You file the pending trademark with Amazon, and you no longer need to wait 6 months until your trademark is fully on the USPTO. And you don't need the IP accelerator. All right, so some common questions that we're getting, I'm going to answer next. So Vaisel writes me and says, I would like to get Amazon brand registry service. Currently, I'm selling another brand. It's not my brand. I would like to get my trademark, but I'm basically not selling any product that I would like to get trademark. How can we solve this issue and start the process? So the answer to that is you can print out a sticker or a tag and attach it to any item that is in the category that you want to file the mark for. This is what's called a specimen. And so if I'm just looking at my desk here, random item, so I've got a bottle opener. So if I were to put this into a box with a tag on it for my brand name, Momster, I could then take that brand name, go to the USPTO and trademark it. And you can use My Amazon Guide to do all of that for you. And so as you file the trademark, if you don't know how to answer all the questions, you simply, when you fill out the application registration form with us right here, and I'll click that to kind of show you, you can simply just skip that question and we'll follow up with you by email to answer any of those follow-ups. So one of the common questions I get is, hey, should I file a word mark or should I file a creative mark, a logo mark, if you will? And in my opinion, I have a strong opinion on this one. You should file what's called a word mark. And that's because a creative mark can be misinterpreted by Amazon. So for example, if you have a logo that has a weird design on it. So I've got some cinnamon on my my desk here. So this one says cinnamon mill. I'm going to put that up to full screen here, see if I can center that in here. So really kind of hard to get that to focus, but if you get the, there we go. So cinnamon mill right there, and there's like an extra C in the middle of the logo. So if I were to file this as a logo mark, Amazon could come in and interpret this as cinnamon C mill. And that means your brand might have to be Cinnamon C Mill with your brand registry, because if you don't know, your brand attribute on Amazon has to be exact match on your trademark to the brand attribute that's on Amazon. I'm going to demonstrate this. So if I go to Amazon.com right here, and I'm just going to go to my own personal brand called Momster. I'm the #1 phony wine glass on Amazon. In fact, if you even just type in wine glass to Amazon, my social distancing wine glass is usually coming up in organic slot number 1 for the term wine glass. So we also know our SEO here at My Amazon Guy. In any case, so if I click on this listing and I go to the brand attribute on the detail page right here, see how it says visit the Momster store. Now, if I have a trademark, but I have my trademark in all caps, Momster in all caps, or let's say I have my trademark Mom space Stir, I would not be able to get A+ content on my listing, and I would not be able to have my brand name brand registered. And that is because the trademark is case sensitive. It must match specifically the letter for letter of the mark. And so when you file your trademark with us, we're going to look at your specimen. That is your tag, your logo that you've printed on the item, and we're going to help you make a good decision, because if you don't get it correct when you file this, you're going to have months of heartache and challenges to figure out. One of the other common questions I get is, how do I know if I can actually file my trademark? Maybe somebody else has taken the name already. Well, I've got a video on that where I teach how to actually specifically go look for the trademark. So if you want to learn yourself, you simply go over to the USPTO website. I will link that video so you can check out that process. We go a little bit deeper than that, and we look at throughout the whole category. We look at misspellings and lookalikes and stuff like that to make sure that we think that the mark you chose will be accepted by the USPTO. This next line of questions comes from Chris by email. Chris writes, will my product brand and UPC brand discrepancy screw me up in getting a trademark? So Chris goes on to explain how they have an LLC in the actual brand attribute, which is kind of peculiar, right? So like your legal name has nothing to do with a trademark, absolutely nothing. In fact, it's better if your legal name is not even closely resembling your brand name, because the legal name is what owns the company, right? And so if you want to have multiple brands under your legal entity, that's also something you can do. I might also add, when you file a trademark with my Amazon guy, we actually file the mark directly in your name. I respond to Chris and say, no, not at all. The trademark is it's a mutually exclusive track. So you don't have to have your GS1 UPCs figured out. In fact, you don't even need a UPC to file a trademark. There's no impact whatsoever between a trademark, a UPC, your legal name. All of these are completely separate tracks and have nothing at all to do with each other. So safely go file the trademark with that crazy brand name you've been thinking about, and you can totally be just fine. All right, so next question that Chris asks, if so, should I just buy a barcode and start listing from scratch? Now, in Chris's case, they have a brand name that they're currently using on Amazon that will not match their current trademark that they're trying to think of and design and go file. And so they're in a unique situation. It is rather difficult to file or to change the brand name of an item on Amazon. And so you just got to keep in mind that it's going to take a lot of work to change the brand name on Amazon. So before you get too deep into selling on Amazon, you really do need to think through your brand equity, your intellectual property, and try and organize yourself just a little bit. Now, on the flip side, maybe you choose a brand name that's too narrow when you first started 12 months ago, and now you're like, I need a more generic name that I can put items in both kitchen and in home and in beauty, or maybe lawn and garden, whatever it might be, right? So the more generic your brand name, the more likely you can list multiple categories under it, which brings us to a good question. Do you need to file for multiple categories under a trademark? The answer to that question is no, / depends on your goals. For Amazon purposes, you do not need to have multiple categories under your mark. You could file all of your items, regardless of category, under your brand name. There are some minor caveats to that, but in general, we don't really run into any problems. Now, the biggest caveat is if somebody has the same brand name as you, maybe you've got like a 3-letter brand name, which is common, right? And they have theirs in lawn and garden and you got yours in beauty. Well, in that case, the brand nodes will conflict a tiny bit. There could be some complications from that with Amazon. So in a situation with a short brand name, I probably would consider filing in multiple categories. But for like 98% of people that file a mark, honestly, just file one mark in the main category that you're considering and you'll be just fine. Back to Chris's situation. So will Chris's product and brand UPC have a discrepancy and screw them up in getting a trademark? And the answer is no, not at all. The trademark is a mutual exclusive track and it has no impact on anything else. So you don't want to create a new listing. You will lose your reviews if you do. And you can buy any trademark of your choice, then update the current listings, brand names. It's all above board, not a problem. A little bit complicated, does take some ticketing, but no worry. Chris also has 200 units at FBA under their current listing. So what would happen to that stock if it's already at FBA? I hear removal orders take forever. That is true. Removal orders would cost you right around 50 cents a unit. It's give or take, depending on the size and weights of the item. And with that in mind, you're better off buying a mark of your choice, then changing the brand name on your listings instead of trying to create listings from scratch. Now, if you ever have issues changing a brand name and have complications, you might want to consider simply deleting your listing and re-uploading a full update template with the new brand name to try and get it to change. In addition to that, you may want to consider having a manufacturer's website where you list your item so that Amazon can see you've got manufacturer's proof, so they will be more likely to take or accept the changes. Now, fail all that, hire the expert here at My Amazon Guy, and we can also do that for you, although that is outside of the scope of filing a trademark with us. That will require probably some more robust full service management with us, which we do offer. There is nobody in the country who can manage Amazon catalogs better than My Amazon Guy. We also offer PPC, SEO, and design work all across the board. Chris's last question that they ask is, they attached a logo and sent it to me, and it had a couple of challenges with it. So the first challenge was they were using the word kitchen in their brand name. And using something that is literal to your brand name can be complicated. And it may be too literal that the USPTO will reject it. In addition to that, they had suggested putting a location in their brand name. So I have filed more than 200 trademarks, and the only challenges we ever typically see are under those two problems. So Chris actually has two problems in one, which is both of the bad worlds. And so I'm encouraging Chris to pick a different brand name entirely. One example, a trademark we filed previously, was for Big Art Pics, and I just moved my webcam over. This is an actual piece of art design, right? So it's a big art pic, right? Completely literal to the actual name of the item, which is why the USPTO rejected that trademark. And they've been using it for years, and so they were upset by that. And so you don't want to have something that is too literal to your category or your item. Instead, if you use something that is like a misspelling, right? So if you take the I out of kitchen and put a Y in there, that would be one way to get around that challenge. But as it relates to location, I would avoid locations in brand names unless your item is literally made there and has some cultural significance. So if let's say you use the city Kyoto out of Japan, and that's because the fabric is woven by silk spiders out of Kyoto or whatever it might be, right? Like that would be a justified reason for having your trademark have a location in the name. Otherwise, I would avoid it. So how does the trademark process work? So the first thing you do is you fill out the form, which you can do at myamazonguy.com, and I'll put a link to this in the description. We then search and compile the trademark for you and file it with the USPTO. We give you the trademark serial number within 1 business day. You then go to brandregistry.amazon.com, and we will send, when you place the order with us, we'll give you the serial number with literally step-by-step instructions on how to go with the next step to brand registry. So all of that's part of our core service. Do you need a trademark? If you're watching this video and you're 14 minutes in already, you already know the answer to that question is, of course. Every brand on Amazon needs a trademark these days because there's a massive amount of good value that you get out of trademarks. For example, I have like a 30-minute video on a comprehensive guide of the brand registry, which I'm going to link to you, and you need to watch that video next because this video walks through every single benefit of the trademark process, all of the benefits of A+ content, extremely valuable content, and it's the most comprehensive guide on the entire internet about the Amazon brand registry. I've got some more common FAQs I'm going to go through here. So what is a trademark? It's a legal claim over your brand name, your slogan, your logos, and it protects your brand identity so that somebody else can't use it. It means that on your listing that you could basically have packaged goods with your brand name, and if some hijacker comes along and tries to list on your item, They won't be able to. And if they do, you can send to Amazon an infringement report to get them removed from your listing. Nobody can use your trademark name without your permission. Maybe somebody else is using your trademark name in their title of their item. You can report them and get them taken down. So that's why it's really important. We've already answered the should I purchase the logo or wordmark. I highly recommend wordmark. Should you trademark both your brand name and logo? Now, and generally speaking, I say no to that. That's just to keep your costs down. Now, the larger your company gets, the more likely I would say go ahead and do both and get the logo trademarked as well. But when you're first starting out, it's your first or second trademark or third trademark, I still only do the wordmark. Honestly, keep your costs down and just do that. But if you do want to do both, we can do that for you. How long does a trademark last? It actually lasts indefinitely, but you do have to give them a statement of use every 5 years after your registration of your trademark so that they know it's still live. Otherwise, your trademark will go to what's called a dead status, and somebody else can then file for that trademark and start using it when you haven't claimed it. So that's important to do 5 years from now. Mark that on your calendar. Why do we conduct a trademark search? So we run a direct hit trademark search to make sure that your trademark's not already in use in other categories or likely would cause confusion and get rejected by the USPTO. How long does the registration take? So the actual USPTO process is actually 6 months, right? So it actually takes 6 to 9 months for your trademark to go live. That is, after you file it with us, we give you your serial number within 1 day. You get your brand registry in under 7 days. Amazon is letting you use what's called a pending trademark status to get access to brand registry. You can then speed up that process by making sure your application is accurate, and make sure that the trademark attorneys at the USPTO don't have to follow up, and we do all that for you, so it goes through that 6-month process faster. And I've got called out in red here, Amazon recently started allowing brands to get their brand registry faster with a pending trademark. So this is new information that most people still don't understand. All right, so if your business is outside the U.S., it's international. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. Any business filing a trademark in the U.S. from an international location can still file one. We actually, in 2019, started doing this for international sellers, and it just does it just fine. The one caveat is we file the mark under our company on your behalf to bypass delays. If somebody doesn't do it that way, then it will take even longer for the USPTO to accept it. Do you need a trademark to list on Amazon? Technically, no. Should you? 100%. You can upload to Amazon immediately. However, you might see one of those brand errors, which I have a video for. So when you're uploading your item for the first time, if you don't have brand registry, you might get an error code 5665. If that's you, click on this video. We'll tell you how to solve that one next. Does your trademark need to have words? Answer is yes, and that's because for the purpose of Amazon, if you have like a creative mark, and let's say it's like in the shape of an animal or something like that, how is Amazon going to interpret that? How is Amazon going to know what to put under your brand attribute? They simply won't. They might put in something like a squiggly line, and then your brand attribute's all messed up. You can't get access to your brand registry. So that's why word marks are the best way to go. All right, so what's included in the My Amazon Guy trademark service? We search it, make sure it's all going to be accepted, not too similar. We review the wording and the mark to make sure it passes USPTO requirements. We file the trademark. Any responses from the USPTO are included. And if you're not actively selling your product, we can actually create a page for you on our website to bypass that requirement on your behalf. How fast do you get brand registry after ordering? In under 7 days. And lastly, one of the most complicated questions is specimens. So a specimen is a real-world example of the item and how it's used in like the packaging of the good. So it's showing it in use. So you can put a tag or anything like a sticker or something that shows the item in use with a cell phone shot. That's how you get your specimen done. So don't forget, go watch that brand registry guide. Very comprehensive. That's the video I would watch next after watching this one. And then go file your trademark at myamazonguy.com.